Good day, I'm Sarah Slabbert from South Africa. I have a consultancy, a plain language consultancy called the Plain Language Institute, and we're in business since 2009. In the past few years, I've been involved in various plain language activities, international plain language activities. I'm a member of the board of the International Plain Language Federation, and I'm also chairing the certification committee of the Federation. To come to your second question, or your first question, South Africa is quite unique in the world, in the sense that it's one of the few countries in the world that has plain language legislation. Plain language is not explicitly mentioned in our national constitution, but it is there implicitly, because one of the basic human rights in our constitution is access to information. Citizens have the right of access to information, and as you know, access means that you can find the information and that you can understand it as well. Then we have various pieces of legislation that requires plain language in communication to consumers and also to citizens. I'm just going to mention a few. A major one is our Consumer Protection Act that was promulgated in 2008. And then in the financial sector, there are many pieces of legislation that require plain language. The National Credit Act, the short-term and long-term insurance acts, and then also associated regulation like the policyholder protection rules. All of these require plain language in customer and consumer communication. South Africa also has in our legislation a definition of plain language, and that definition is aligned, it's similar to the international plain language definition, in the sense that it defines plain language from the perspective of the user. So a document is in plain language when for the intended user it is clear, it's understandable, and it's easy to use. Yes, we still have challenges in implementing the legislation, and one of the challenges is there's never been clear guidelines as to how you implement plain language in an organization. And that is where the ISO standard, and particularly, or firstly, Part 1, can play such an important role in our country, because it provides the guidance as to how you can implement plain language in an organization. And then on top of that, the Part 4, which is currently in progress, will add another layer, because it states the requirements for an organization to be eventually certified in plain language. So my vision for plain language in South Africa is that the ISO standards will merge or be recognized in our legislation and in our regulation and work together. We still struggle with misconceptions about plain language. Individuals thinking that plain language simply means a dumbing down of content or a simplified language. And so there's still a lot of work to be done in that field. Our national standards body is taking the lead there with a roadshow where not only 24495 but also other ISO standards are presented to universities and also to government departments to raise their awareness and to encourage them to participate and actually use the standards. On the business side, we have the advantage that there's a growing interest and acknowledgement that for effective communication, you need the effective engagement of your audiences. And you can only effectively engage your audience if your audience has that core plain language experience. Your audience experience the communication as relevant, as easy to find, easy to understand, and easy to use. So I see a great future for plain language in South Africa.